Good morning, I'm Frank Powers, and this is Lifestyle Tucson, the program where I speak to our neighbors, the people behind the scenes of our amazing organizations, small businesses, and nonprofits. Our friends are informing you how they serve our community, and they are here to give you updates on future projects. Let's make some old friends today. Yeah. IBE, or the Institute for Better Education, is committed to removing any financial obstacles that stand in a family's way of providing K-12 education for their children and their unique needs. IBE accomplishes this through the Arizona Private School Tax Credit Program. And now, the Institute for Better Education Foundation exists to support and/or enhance education in Arizona, focusing on families with financial hardships. And the IBE Foundation accomplishes this through the generosity of donors using an Arizona tax credit QCO for a qualifying charitable organization. And we're about to learn what I'm stumbling all through today, because today I'm fortunate to speak with Kimberly J. Kirschner, Executive Director of the Institute for Better Education, or IBE. Kimberly, welcome back to Lifestyle Tucson.
Thank you so much for having me, Frank. I always enjoy getting the opportunity to chat with you.
Well, I compliment you sometimes, I think, too much, just like I do with some of these guests. I love our talks because you did help me understand what this is all about now. We're talking about our Arizona tax credit, how we get it to a charitable organization. And really, I had you on a couple of times a few years ago, and I did semi-understand it. We talked about corporate tax credits. We talked about how our taxes work in Arizona. But the fact is that now you're going to be a part of this amazing alliance, the Arizona Christian Tax Credit Alliance, bringing together 7 tax credit eligible nonprofits. You can go visit them over at taxcreditas.org to talk about it. And this is going to be the final piece of the puzzle for my series where we've talked to all your organizations under this umbrella. And now we're going to really understand what we're all talking about and how to execute the plan of getting our tax credits to the right organization.
Oh, thank you, Frank, so much. And just to let you know, yes, I am the director of IBE, the STO that everybody knows and loves for over 27 years. But today, I'm so fortunate and blessed to be representing the IBE Foundation. It's a different organization, 100%. But it's still a tax credit. It's a qualifying charitable organization, or a QCO. So it is giving people an opportunity to utilize their tax credits and support children in their education in 2 different ways.
I love it. And I have a big list right here. It's 22 pages long, this PDF, that took my dad, who's my CPA, a bit to find because he wasn't understanding what I was talking about and even kind of putting up a little bit of a block. And I say to him, I've got 7 organizations telling me it's a dollar for dollar tax credit. Please go find the correct link and or form. And he finally did. And then that's when I understood it. So we've talked several times. I thought that you could donate your Arizona tax credit to any 501c3, but that is not true. It is a qualifying charitable organization. So that's the distinction.
That's right. So to back up a little bit, there are 5 different tax credits here in the state of Arizona. One is the school tuition organization, which I typically represent with you, which is where we give our tax credits to help children in private school for their tuition. Then there's a qualifying charitable organization, just like I'm here today. That is a separate tax credit. There's also a tax credit for foster care children. There's for military families, and there's one for public schools as well. So people have the opportunity to look at their line 48 on their Arizona Form 140. That's the magic number when it comes to tax credits. And they can stack all of these different kinds of tax credits up to their line 48, utilizing the maximum amount each tax credit is able to represent. So it's a wonderful opportunity to say, I want my state taxes to stay in my community. I want my state tax credits to help this particular vulnerable population because this organization does just that. So whatever your heart is telling you to do with your state taxes, you get a choice, and tax credits are the way to do it.
That is very impressive. And again, it's really important because you don't want to just let that money disappear. It can go somewhere. So what is my amount? And then if you're filing as a couple, it's a bigger amount.
Absolutely. For the QCO, and again, that's the Qualifying Charitable Organization Tax Credit, the maximum amount that a married couple filing jointly can donate for the 2024 tax year, and you have until April 15th of 2025 to do that, is $938. And for a single filer, it's $470. Let's say your liability as a married couple is $5,000. You get to look at more than just one tax credit. credit. You can actually do the maximum on a couple of them. And again, making sure your tax dollars stay in your community, stay in Tucson, Arizona, and making sure that you're helping, again, those populations that mean so much to you.
And also, I go cross-eyed trying to do these things, even as you say, it's a QCO. Oh, that stands for Qualifying Charitable Organization. They're trying to make it simple, but some of us are just fools. And
but to your point, it can be confusing because a lot of people think charitable and tax credits, they're all the same. But in order to be any kind of a tax credit, one of the 5, you must be certified by the state of Arizona to represent that particular tax credit because there's different laws, different rules, different regulations that are put upon a tax credit organization as opposed to somebody that's just taking charitable donations.
So as I go to taxcreditas.org to talk about the coalition that's going on with all of you, even this organization, the IBE Foundation, is one of the 7 that we can choose to give our tax credit to.
Absolutely. We are one of those, and we have a very special mission, and we're focusing on kids and their education, just like my other tax credit organization does. Not to confuse them. The STO, still alive and well, but it's a different tax credit. This is a QCO, the IBE Foundation, where we are focusing on families, low-income families, and supporting their kids' educational journeys still.
You got to love it. Together, we can do great things. Mother Teresa said that's right there on the website. You're elevating kids, you're engaging kids, and that is what this is all about, is just taking care of our Tucson residents and the folks in our community, especially kids, because we got to think about the fact that we don't want financial barriers to be the thing that keeps a kid from getting the experience of growing up, getting a real education, and just being smart, savvy, and confident. And they're going to get that through the opportunities that you're giving them.
You're exactly right. And I'm actually in a very good position to understand exactly that because as the director for the STO, IBE STO for many years, I know we're paying tuition and that's making a true difference in their lives. But some of our the lower income families, that's not enough. Mm-hmm. We need to do more. So that's why a year and a half ago, I came up with, I want to start the IBE Foundation. At the time, it wasn't a tax credit. It was a charitable organization. And it's taken me some time to get that tax credit. We're now a tax credit for the 2024, 2025, and beyond tax years. And what we're trying to do is we're taking care of children's basic needs, which is what a QCO does. We take care of, at the foundation, we take care of meals, clothing, eyeglasses, hearing aids. We want to make sure kids feel confident. Then we're also taking it one step further, and we're utilizing part of our funding to help kids get to go to summer camp, get to go to their electives, get to play football. And we're doing this through public schools, private schools, charter schools, wherever the lower income families are. We want to make sure we're there for them because I feel in my heart that if a child loves their school, they're going to develop a lifelong love of learning.
Yes. And there's just so much going on now with our schools that some people just don't even realize. Robotics is what's going on. A lot of what's going on with the technology, the 3D printing, engineering. You want to give your kids the opportunity to experience that, not just be able to not afford notebooks, right?
Exactly. Can you imagine being that child in a charter school and robotics is your thing? Yeah. You know that that's where your future lies, but your parents cannot afford the fees. Even public schools have fees. Mm-hmm. They cannot afford the fees to make sure you can be part of that elective, that class, whatever that looks like. IBE can step in and pay those fees for you. The IBE Foundation, that's what we do. We give kids the opportunity. Now, for it to be a qualified charitable organization, we are talking low-income families, so very low. So we're talking 150% of poverty. Mm-hmm. For a family of 4, that's about grossing a little over $46,000 a year. So I can help children that are a little bit higher income families, some other funding that the foundation brings in, but the predominance of our funding is helping that low of an income. And trust me, we're finding there's a lot of kids in public schools, private schools, charter schools that need that kind of assistance that are in that income demographic.
I believe it. I think one of the first episodes of Lifestyle Tucson, I just learned the idea of the concept of kids that don't have shoes. Yes. And I always think about this country saying, pick yourself up by your bootstraps, kids. How can they do that if they do not have boots? That's the idea. Being able to afford that. Even one thing you said there, glasses, yes, hearing aids.
Yes.
Imagine your kid can't afford glasses.
Or even if, let's say, their family has access or some sort of insurance that provides glasses. I've talked to the access representatives, and these children are picking these glasses kind of out of a box. It's not exactly the ones they might feel confident to wear. I want to make sure they have that confidence because they love their glasses, whatever that looks like. And we even have a charter school here in Tucson who one of the heads of school cannot wait to be able to join some of her lowest income families to go shopping for some school clothes because these kids are not coming to school dressed appropriately. And IBE Foundation can make sure that these families have the funds to get school clothes so they feel confident with their peers. One of the toughest places to live these days is the playground at a school, any school. And if you want to fit in, you don't want to be recognized as anything other than just like everybody else. Again, as you mentioned, they have the opportunity to love their school because they want to go to school every single day.
Yeah, that's really, again, really important. So now we've been going on and on. Always a big thing that we do here because we get so excited. Let's talk about walk these people. Walk me through.
Okay, I'm ready.
How am I getting to find that Charitable Arizona tax credit? It is line number.
Okay, if everybody's looking at your Arizona Form 140, and this is the standard Arizona Form 140, not if you're filing from out of state or something like that, 140, you look at line number 48. So that is your subtotal of tax line. It's very simple in the country, quite frankly. In Arizona, though, we have become a flat tax state. So let's say somebody has a income after they take the standard deduction off. So now we look at $100,000. Let's say that's what it is. They've already got their income in. They've taken their standard deduction off. It comes out to $100,000. All you do is times that by 2.5%. Now you know your state tax liability, or line number 48, is $2,500. So now you can do tax credits up to that. Let's say you've even had $2,500 withheld from your paycheck throughout the year. We all know federal state tax, our federal taxes, state taxes, Social Security, Medicare, all comes out of your paycheck. So the state has some money that they're saving for you to apply against your line 48. Even if it's $2,500, so you don't owe a dime, you can still stack your tax credits up to $2,500. And the state sends back whatever they're holding on to for you back in the form of a refund because they don't need it. When you give your donations to a tax credit organization, it is just like giving it to the state of Arizona as your state taxes, but you get a total say in where it goes.
Okay. How is that? Now, wait. Okay. I thought I could only donate $400 and something. I thought that was the total.
Great question. So different tax credits have different maximums. The public school tax credit is $400 for a married couple filing jointly. The QCO tax credit is $938 for a married couple filing jointly. And the STO tax credit is $2,910 for a married couple filing jointly. Then we also have two other tax credits. So you can stack all of them. They have different amounts.
Okay.
But if you go to the Department of Revenue, they actually have a tax credit page that will list not just the different tax credit organizations, but the different kinds of tax credits and what their maximums are.
You just kind of blew my mind because, again, I really thought that's a lot. That's a lot of opportunities stacking all those tax credits.
Yes, it
That's
is.
Fascinating.
Oh, yes, it is. I mean, so you can imagine if you're making, let's say your gross income is $200,000 and your state tax liability is $5,000, you can take advantage of all of these tax credits.
Wow. Okay. That's fascinating. Let me ask this. What if you're just some radio guy and maybe you pulled together about $40,000 last year annually?
Well, let's just say, okay, I will give you the perfect example. I actually am a certified tax preparer, not as an income, not as a business, just because I wanted to understand tax credits better. So I went through all of the time to do that, just to make sure I understood what I was talking about. My mom, who is almost 84, I do her taxes. She's about one of the only ones I do her taxes. I do her taxes every year. She's retired, clearly, and her state tax liability is less than $100. Every year, she makes a tax credit donation to support a child that she loves at a private school here in Arizona. She could use that for the QCO as well. So you cannot, if her income or her tax liability isn't going to allow her to sweep all the tax credits, but she chooses what she wants to do. So those maximums are up to. You don't have to give the maximum amount. And they're appreciated. I don't care how much you donate, you're able to give, whatever that liability, that line 48 is, it is appreciated.
That's amazing. All right. Well, I feel, again, even better than I did when you got here. That's incredible. Because opportunity to help everybody. And again, help everybody. It doesn't cost you a dime. You're actually saving money to a degree. There's ways for you to do all this. But again, if this sounds like a lot, where can people go? Because I was on one of the websites, or some of them, you have webinars. And you're going to do some, I believe, new webinars at a point.
Absolutely. No, okay. March 20th, I've got 5 webinars coming out. I'm doing one on all 5 tax credits. I'm doing one on corporate tax credits through an STO. I'm doing one on the foundation, what we're talking about today. I'm going to be mentioning how you can stack tax credits. I'm just going to dive into a number of them. Now, that would be at our different website, which is IBEscholarships.org. There's a page called Live Webinars. If you click on it, you'll see all the registration links for all the webinars. But at the IBE Foundation, one of those webinars is going to be only talking about this one. And again, if you really want to make sure you're helping a low-income child, whether they're in a public school, private school, charter school, throughout the state of Arizona, K through 12 education with basic needs, everything from meals to clothing to those eyeglasses, or if you want to make sure they're having those experiences, camp experience or elective experiences, sports experiences, please check out IBEFoundation.org because that is where we are making such a huge difference for children across the board.
There you go. And that's the one that we are focusing on today, talking about that specific tax credit and talking about this great organization coming together under the Arizona Tax Credit Alliance. Hang on. You wrong mouse. Hang on. There we go. The Arizona Christian Tax Credit Alliance that's bringing together these 7 tax credit eligible nonprofits. It's great. And there's something else that makes this special. What sets this apart? Tell me.
Well, when you donate to any kind of an organization, especially a qualifying organization, there aren't a lot of opportunities to recommend something specific, maybe a program, which is great. But with the IBE Foundation, when you make your donation, you have the opportunity to recommend your funds to a specific Arizona public school, private school, or charter school. That way you can feel confident that the children attending that school, those specific low-income families, will be able to utilize the funds you give.
Brilliant. You can go check out that organization, and you can spread some of this around. You can pick one organization to support. That's how some of it works as well. Yes, no?
Well,
tell me.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
I will just jump in. There are some amazing QCOs, and the 7 that are on this particular website, they are all doing great work. If you want to split your, let's say you're doing the $470, you can split that between 2 different QCOs. That's not a problem. You just can't go over that $470 total. So you can do more than one as long as you don't go over that amount.
Right, because that's why I printed out this list, because let me go through it. Let me see if there's any friends from Lifestyle Tucson on this list, and I can spread some of that wealth around, or I'm just going to give it all to this one great group. It's none of your business, all right? Because we're talking about money, we're talking about tax, we're talking about all that stuff. What you do with it is your own interest, right? Support what you care about, but I would love if you did make sure you don't let this money just disappear into the ether. Send it somewhere. Very important, maybe even send it to the IBE Foundation, because today we made friends with Kimberly J. Kirschner. What's your title at your new organization?
I am the executive director of both organizations, so I am still the executive director.
Okay, executive director of the IBE Foundation. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Frank. It's always a pleasure and an honor.
Heck yeah. Come on back and we'll talk about that June corporate tax credit, maybe, right?
I'll be ready.
All right. This was Lifestyle Tucson. Bing bong bing, time for a recap. All right, there it is. So now let's hope that you understand how to use your Arizona tax credit for a qualifying charitable organization. We just talked to all of our great groups, a 7-part series. I can't believe that we did it, but IBE is really the one that'll help you understand just what to do in general, and then it's just up to you where you want that money to go. Thank you so much to Kimberly J. Kirschner for taking care of this, explaining it. Remember, she has the webinars up now on demand. You can go watch and listen. There's plenty of time still before your taxes are due. And this applies next year as well. Just some of the numbers change. So make sure you get all that information over at IBEFoundation.org. And then you can also follow IBE's other organization at IBEscholarships.org. And just make sure to just go follow, email Kimberly. I'm sure she'd love to hear from you. Contact information is on those websites. So this way you absolutely do know how to understand what you're doing. Don't take my word for it. Make sure that you know what you're doing by watching some webinars and just doing it, because we don't want this thing that we get in the state of Arizona to go to waste or be reallocated to something we don't care about. If you care about kids, if you care about the community, you should try to make sure that you can donate it to one of the many, many organizations that we talked about, or any that you find online. Go pick your cause and get with it, because that's what we're all about. Thank you so much for listening to this great special that we put together. And also check out taxcreditatz.org, because that is the hub for the Arizona Christian tax credit alliance that has been bringing together the 7 tax credit eligible nonprofits that I have spoken to in this series that love God and love to serve others. And you can hear them all. They're doing it so well right here in Tucson. And I want to thank our old friends at IBE for joining me today. You've been listening to Lifestyle Tucson. If you're a nonprofit that would like to be on the show, email lifestyletucson@gmail.com. For more information about this program or to listen to something you may have missed, go to the Sunday Mornings page on klpx.com, kfma.com, mixfm.com, or espntucson.com. You can also subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, and Audible, or wherever fine podcasts are coming together. Follow on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram at Lifestyle Tucson, because I'm your BFF, your best Frank forever, Frank Powers. And toot toot Tucson, I love you the most.